Copenhagen set, Princess Leonor of Asturias wedding week confirmed. Imagine waking up to the usual calm of a European morning, with Spain easing into another day filled with routine, tradition, and the quiet rhythm of life. And then suddenly, everything stops. Headlines erupt, phones vibrate non-stop, and the entire country seems to inhale all at once. Because today, something Spain has waited years for has finally been confirmed. Princess Leonor of Asturias, the future queen, is officially heading into her royal wedding week, and it will not take place in Spain. It will unfold in the heart of Denmark. For months, everyone assumed the ceremony would be held in Madrid or at least somewhere within Spanish borders, honoring centuries of royal custom. But in a move that has shocked royal historians and thrilled younger generations, the palace has confirmed that Copenhagen is set as the center of the most anticipated royal celebration of 2025. And just when the public began to process that twist, another revelation dropped. This wasn't a political maneuver, nor a forced shift. In fact, it was Leonor's personal request. That single detail rewrites everything people thought they knew about her. She isn't being swept by tradition. She isn't obeying strict monarchical rules. She is leading her own story. And this wedding week is more than a ceremony, it is a statement that will echo across Europe. So now the real question begins: why Copenhagen? Why Denmark? And what exactly has unfolded behind the scenes to bring the future Queen of Spain to another nation for one of the most defining moments of her life? To understand this, we must go back to the earliest signs that something bigger was happening. Royal watchers had noticed subtle shifts in Leonor's travels in late 2024 and early 2025. Quiet visits, low-profile meetings, private dinners attended not by politicians, but by close family friends with deep connections to the Danish royal circle. At the time, many thought these were simply diplomatic courtesy moments. But now, with everything confirmed, those seemingly small details take on an entirely different meaning. According to palace insiders, the bond between the Spanish and Danish royal families has grown immensely in the last 2 years. And this wedding is not only a romantic union, but a symbolic one, strengthening ties between two of Europe's most respected monarchies. But despite all these political and diplomatic angles, the emotional heart of the story remains Leonor herself. A young woman who grew up under the pressure of tradition, duty, and the expectations of an entire nation. Yet she has chosen a path that reflects her own voice, her own love, her own vision. Spain, naturally, is stunned. Some feel proud, some feel surprised, and many feel a wave of bittersweet emotion washing over them. Their future queen will marry on foreign soil, but she will do so in a way that honors who she truly is: calm, thoughtful, independent, deeply connected to her European identity. But beneath all the public reactions lies a deeper drama that few have dared to explore. Because while Leonor may have made her choice, the Spanish royal family wasn't instantly aligned. Behind the elegant facade of the monarchy, real discussions took place. Emotional, complicated, and intensely human conversations that shaped the final decision. Queen Letizia, known for her protective nature over her daughters, reportedly supported Leonor's decision from the very beginning. Her priority has always been her daughter's happiness, not the optics of royal protocol. King Felipe, however, faced a dilemma that weighed heavily on him. As monarch, he carries centuries of tradition on his shoulders. But as a father, he carries something far heavier: the desire to see his daughter truly happy. And when those two roles collided, it wasn't an easy choice. Sources suggest he hesitated at first, torn between what was expected of him and what felt right. But in the end, when he looked at Leonor's certainty, her clarity, her maturity, her calm confidence, he knew the answer. Her happiness had to come first. And so the green light was given. Now Copenhagen prepares for a week unlike anything Europe has seen in decades. A fusion of Spanish passion, Danish elegance, and the unmistakable aura of modern royalty stepping boldly into a new era. Streets will fill with flags. Balconies will flood with flowers. Security teams from two nations will coordinate operations so intricate they rival state visits. And most importantly, the world will watch a young woman embrace her destiny in a way no one predicted. But the story doesn't end there. Because everything we see on the surface, the beauty, the glamour, the protocol, is only the beginning. What comes next is the real heart of this story, the emotional journey Leonor has taken to reach this moment, the challenges she overcame, the silent pressure she learned to carry, and the unexpected twist in her relationship that changed everything. As the news settled across Spain, something remarkable happened. People weren't just surprised, they were moved. Because for the first time in a long time, the country wasn't looking at Princess Leonor as a symbol, a future monarch, or a polished figure shaped by protocol. They were looking at her as a young woman making one of the most personal decisions of her life. And in that moment, the distance between the royal family and the Spanish people seemed to shrink. Across European media, journalists rushed to update their reports, television networks scrambled to adjust coverage schedules, and social platforms exploded with one dominating question: what does Copenhagen have that Spain doesn't? The answer, as it turns out, is far more emotional than anyone expected. Copenhagen is not just a backdrop, it is woven into the story of Leonor's relationship in a way Spain never knew. Long before the public became aware of the possibility of a Danish connection, long before whispers of an engagement surfaced, Leonor had formed a quiet, steady bond with Denmark. During private academic trips, international youth summits, and discreet family visits, the city became a place where she could blend in, walk freely, breathe without cameras waiting at every corner. It became a sanctuary. Sources close to the Danish royal household reveal something even deeper. The moment Leonor first visited Copenhagen as a young teenager, she said something her security team never forgot. She looked out over the waterfront, with the crisp cold air brushing against her face, and said, "This place feels peaceful. It feels like real life." Years later, that same place is becoming the setting of the most defining week of her royal future. But the emotional pull of Copenhagen goes beyond the city itself. It ties directly into the relationship that has captured the heart of Spain. What the palace kept private for so long, what only leaked through glimpses, subtle gestures, and rare photos, was how meaningful Denmark was to the couple's story. The two spent some of their earliest private moments there, far away from the eyes of the press. They walked its quiet streets, shared conversations that didn't require formality, and built a connection that was theirs, not the monarchy's. And when the time came to discuss wedding plans, Leonor didn't hesitate. She chose the place where her love felt authentic and her heart felt calm. Still, Spain had its own expectations. Many felt the ceremony should be held in the royal palace or the Almedina Cathedral, like her parents. For centuries, Spanish royal weddings have carried the weight of tradition, and breaking that cycle was a bold step. But what many outside the palace didn't understand was how deeply Leonor had changed during her training years. Military academy, international programs, and countless diplomatic events shaped her into someone who values modernity as much as heritage. She knows the monarchy must evolve. She knows her reign will be different. And she knows that her personal choices will define how the world sees her. Behind closed doors, her decision created a ripple effect within the royal household. Advisors questioned logistics. Protocol officers reviewed centuries-old rules. Historians debated symbolism. But while the palace may have hesitated politically, the family hesitated emotionally. Queen Letizia felt the significance instantly. This wasn't about headlines. It was about her daughter stepping into adulthood with a level of bravery she admired. She reportedly told Leonor, "Your life doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Not even mine." King Philippe's reaction, however, told a deeper story. He carries Spain on his shoulders every day of his life. He knows what a royal wedding means to the nation. But he also knows the weight his daughter has carried since childhood, the expectations, the criticism, the pressure to be perfect. And when Leonor explained her reasons for choosing Denmark, he didn't argue. He listened. And the more she spoke, the more he saw the woman she had become. He didn't see the little girl who used to cling to his hand during public appearances. He saw the future queen who stood tall during military formations, who spoke confidently at global summits, who learned to walk through storms with grace. And that realization changed everything. He agreed. With that approval, preparations began. And Copenhagen instantly transformed into a stage of royal significance. Streets were discreetly evaluated for procession routes. Local authorities coordinated with Spanish security teams months in advance. Hotels reserved entire floors without disclosing the reason. Tailors, florists, decorators, and cathedral staff signed confidentiality agreements that kept the secret secured until today. Meanwhile, something else, far more intimate, was happening in Leonor's private circle. Her closest friends were informed first, and their reactions were emotional. Many had known about her love for Denmark but never imagined she would choose it for her wedding. Her younger sister, Infanta Sofia, reportedly cried when she heard the news, not out of sadness but from overwhelming joy. The bond between the two sisters has always been unbreakable, and Sofia instantly promised she would stand by Leonor's side through every moment of the wedding week. And just when it seemed the emotions couldn't go any deeper, Leonor made one more request, one that touched everyone who heard it. She asked that part of the ceremony's symbolism reflect her grandparents, both the ones still with her, and the ones who shaped her childhood in quieter, more personal ways. It was her way of connecting the past she inherited with the future she is creating. As the world begins to understand the magnitude of what Copenhagen means, one truth becomes clear: this wedding week will not simply be a royal event. It will be a cultural moment. A turning point. A merging of two nations and two hearts in a way that has never been seen before in modern European monarchy. And beneath that grandeur lies the question everyone wants answered: what will this wedding week actually look like? What moments have been quietly planned? Which traditions will be honored, and which will be reinvented?